Call this meeting in order. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion a second. Any corrections? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nobody. All right, we have two citizens' comments. I think, first one is Ramiro Guzman on the appraisal district board, from the appraisal district board. Go ahead.
Judge, Commissioners, on your agenda today, you have the approval of this year's appraisal district budget. And I just wanted to kind of give you a quick overview of kind of what the board has been up to. I've been serving on the board for 3 years now. The last year as chairman. On this board...
Can we take this as the agenda item? That way we can ask you questions.
Jackie will be here for questions. I wasn't sure how far down the agenda. If I wasn't able to make sure, I wanted to just give you a general overview.
You're close up. You're close.
Okay.
Okay.
For the table where we can ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if we do it in citizens' comments, we cannot rebut.
Right. So
Okay.
I'll just give the overview. The Valverde County is represented by Pam Smith and Lucas Gillum on the board. There's 9 voting members on the board, 2 from the county, 2 from the city, 4 from the school district, 1 from Comstock. We also represent Rock Springs and a hospital district. They don't have members on the board. And Dean Munoz serves as an ex officio member of that board. The biggest item you'll see that increases this year, as always, is our insurance costs. Any group that has a large number of employees will have insurance costs. We try different strategies to try to mitigate that. Other appraisal districts have been able to join larger pools within a certain entity, one of their sponsoring entities. We haven't been able to make that happen. We pay probably about $30,000. If we had the same rates as the county or the city, for example, with a larger pool, probably about more than a $30,000 difference on our budget. But we haven't been able to get that worked out. You'll see some other increases. We're leasing all of our computer equipment. We've also, on our employees, the employee salaries is always the largest portion of one of these types of organizations. Over the last 3 years, we did a general salary study to find out where we wanted to be or where the market was. We couldn't do all of those changes in 1 year, so we split that up. The first 2 years for appraisers and staff, and the second 2 years for management, for our higher level employees. This is the last year of those increases. And so this has been a process that's been happening over the last 3 years. After this, all employees are on the scale, and we have a suggested step that'll be approved by the board from every point after that, so it'll be probably under 2%. The amount will change depending on if we have more experienced staff that stays on, those will go up. If we have turnover, we have people starting at a lower level, then those salaries will go down. And so that's how we've kind of looked at. We've seen a lot of the activities happening in the county and the city, taking some of that guidelines. We have a little more flexibility on a smaller scale. And so that's what the board has been working on. So just wanted to present that overview to you all. If you have any specific questions, I'll try to stick around. But if not, Jackie will be able to answer some of those as well.
Thank you. Can I actually have Rhonda Hargrove?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
I just wanted to briefly ask that I spoke with Louis. We had a bull riding event for Anna Cadena. She's had a liver transplant and is in not really good shape, so we haven't named this scholarship yet. We're kind of waiting to see what happens with her. But I'd like to ask that you allow her sons, they want to do this bull riding event every year, and they want to do it as a scholarship for medical students at the high school. We haven't determined whether that will be 1 scholarship or 2. We've got a long way to go to determine that before next year rolls around. But instead of having to pay for the use of the arena, I'd like to see if you could lease it to them for $10 or something like that, since it is going to be a scholarship program from here on out. Also, really quick, I don't know if anybody's been in touch with anybody. I was at the city council meeting last week before last, on a Pets Wish. I tried to call you, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you. The city is supposed to be working diligently to help her find a new location because she is, once again, being evicted because the building sold. She has no place to go, and there's about 70 dogs right over there right now, and that doesn't include the dogs that she has people just taking care of at their homes. So I don't know if that 10 acres is still available that Friends of Del Rio Animals had at one time, or if there's some building or property that the city might have that they could donate. Because from what I was told at that meeting, the county could donate. The city is going to try to help her do something, but they want to work city-county together. So just throwing that out there. I'd like at some point for this to be on the agenda because it's a major problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next. Anybody else, citizens' comments? Didn't fill out the form, you want to come over and speak? Thank you. All right, next we have a presentation, recognize Mary Ann Gonzalez for her retirement, and come on up.
She put up with us for a long time.
10 years, come around so we can. Michelle, you gonna take
Michelle, we can take pictures. Maria? You got a fancy one.
10 years, fancy one.
10 years. Oh my God, that's beautiful.
And Commissioner Nerdo said, this is nice, for putting up with them for 10 years.
Thank you. Hold up, bigger
Thank you.
They give you a hard time, Louis, right? They give you a hard time, Louis?
No, they were all good guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
And I don't know if you want the box to,
I'll take the box.
Just a joke, huh?
Thank you. Just give her a check instead.
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you so much.
retirement.
Enjoy it.
Thank
You
you.
can come visit every once in a while.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to move one agenda item. We're going to do the addendum because Mr. Solis has to go back to Austin. This item on the addendum says discuss the possible action on the option of post 2017-2018 wellness incentive program. Mark, come on up.
Simple folder. Should be really quick. About 6 weeks ago, I'll share a brief presentation with you about your health plan and moving towards a wellness incentive. And at that time, I asked that the court would appoint a committee to walk through the steps of selecting a wellness incentive design to bring back to the court for final approval. So that's what this is. And I came back down here and met with the committee about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and we spent a couple hours hashing through the different possible options and what it could look like and rewards and activities and that sort of stuff. And we settled on a pretty simple design, which is what you have in front of you. And essentially it would match up with the plan, your health plan year, and the activities are twofold. So we would ask employees to do 2 things: to get an annual physical and to complete a certain amount of physical activity with 2 separate incentives attached to those 2 activities. So I would recommend, and I should say the committee, we talked through this quite a bit, and the committee recommended that we ask the employees to pay a 5% premium differential if they choose not to get an annual physical. This is important because an annual physical, as I illustrated last time, is critical to being aware of your health status, your numbers, all of that stuff, and you're gonna save lives because you're gonna catch stuff early, because you're gonna catch stuff when it's less expensive to treat. So this is really critical. For the physical activity, we want to keep it fun, and so we're recommending an extra day of paid time off. You can orchestrate that however you want, as PTO or administrative leave or whatever, but we're recommending purely a reward for that. So that's our off-the-top recommendation. I'm happy to answer any questions. You could certainly choose to do, I have some counties that do, for example, one day of paid vacation for the annual physical and a second day of paid vacation for the fitness, but the bottom line is that is not as effective. Not as many employees will get the annual physical for a day of vacation as they will if they have to pay a penalty if they don't get it.
So if they don't get the physical, then the penalty is about $260? Is it 5% of the annual?
5% of the annual employee-only cost.
So it's about $200 and something dollars.
Exactly.
It would be the penalty.
Yeah, so it would be 20.
It would be $22.80 a month if the employee.
If they don't get it.
Exactly.
And how long do they have to get it?
We have a 10-month measurement period, so it would start October 1st and finish July 31st of next year, with a 2-month window to deal with any discrepancies, any housekeeping issues before then applying the premium differential or the vacation day would start.
So they would have time to be able to do it. It wouldn't start immediately in October, penalizing. They wouldn't have to get it.
No, the penalty would not apply until a year out.
Okay.
And also the reward for the extra vacation day would not start until a year out, yes.
So then that would be the question that I asked you, if the bottom part was legal, we could actually do it. The ones that did actually fulfill it, and if we were to give them that day, we could do it in the next fiscal year.
That's
Right.
Okay.
And
Sounds
the
good.
money, the premium that the employee would pay will go to an account where the county would pay part of our premium. So it would be a difference.
So do we need to
Yeah, we
take
need,
action?
yeah, we need to,
I'll make a motion to approve.
there's a motion and the second.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you, Mark.
Thank
Have
you.
a safe trip back.
Appreciate it.
All right, now let's go back to item 7, Isabel Guerrero, Director of New Horizons Women and Children's Center. The annual reports, profit loss activity report.
Good morning.
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 Thank you for having us here. This is not the annual report. This is the report, the total report, actually. And I have the activity report.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. We started March with a resident, and we added 11 new residents, and there were 16 residents getting out of the shelter in March. In April, we started with 3. We had 8 new residents, and we had 4 residents getting out on April. And you can see how many adults and how many children we had. In May, we started with 7. We had 15 new residents, and we had 12 exiting the shelter. And in June, we started the month with 10 residents. We had total 16, and we had 3 exiting the shelter. And on the bottom, you can see how many of them got medical benefits, how many with help with legal services, how many with basic needs, and how many with improvement of workforce.
Pretty much you're full. I mean, you've only got 6 rooms, so I mean, at the end of the day, you're full, sadly.
Okay.
And I have the petty cash figures for the audit.
How are y'all doing on applying for grants?
May I address that now? Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. We're doing pretty well. We've looked at Mary Kay, so we applied for Mary Kay. We did approach the city, and the city is going to match the county funds up for the first quarter of this fiscal year, and they'll revisit that issue come October. They're going to prorate the amount that the county is providing, and so right now we're going to be doing monthly invoicing to the city. As far as the state is concerned, Commissioner, as I've stated before, the state is maxed unless something happens with our visit that we had while we were out there for County Day, and I visited with Representative Nevares and Senator Wieski, and something happens at the state level and they increase the budget overall with the state, it's going to be difficult to access any more state funding because according to them, they're capped out. Now, I don't agree with that policy. I continue to believe that we need to advocate at every level that it is not sufficient. This is something that certainly, we all need to voice. That it's going to cost us more money in the end run. Whatever they're wanting to say at that level, they're going to get it in juvenile delinquency issues. They're going to get it in, criminal type activity down the road. So we've got to advocate in a matter where they've got to understand that the investment in intervening with these issues early on is something that is cost effective for the state. And that's the way that I've been doing it. I don't know what's going to happen with the new fiscal year, that if they increase the Health and Human Services Commission's funding, which is the only one that does shelter funding. There's other non-residential funding that is done by criminal justice. We've accessed that, and we're continuing to access criminal justice money to do non-residential stuff. The funding that we're currently getting from the county is totally for shelters.
You called me last week and told me about the city. I visited with Mr. Sotelo a little bit, and I told him that, when the county set this money aside, it was hopefully that he would go receive other grants. And now that he's gone out and with the city, my personal opinion is that we need to leave the 130 in our budget, but if the city's going to match it sometime during the year, because they fall short about $40,000, $30,000 to $40,000 over the year, we should be getting some of this money back during this next fiscal year. And, I didn't want to let the air out of his sails when he called me, but, we don't mind paying for the program, the cost. But the initial goal was to get it to where it pays for itself, where you can go out and look for grants. And I think with this thing with the city, if they'll match what we put in, our cost is going to drop significantly. Not only that, the county also provides the building, provides electricity, provides, and I personally think we need to do it. I just think that we need to get closer to what it's costing you, especially since the city's not going to put in some funds to where we can begin to lower our contribution, and the city would also. That's just my opinion.
When do you expect to get a word from the city?
That's already been determined, sir, so that they've already approved the prorated amount of 130, but it's only going to be done for 3 months, and they'll revisit that in October in terms of seeing what they're going to do for the entire year. They're looking at their city budget, and depending on what that looks like and their allocation is like, they may reduce the amount, they may keep it the same, I don't know. I would, however, ask you to be patient with us in terms of, being able to adjust any kind of cost. We certainly understand that. And I visited with, the additional building obviously is going to be needing a lot of security updates, and hopefully we can use some of that money as well. We're going to have to put in a new camera system, possibly fencing. I don't know what else you need out there.
My personal, when we started all this was to hopefully it would run with other funds other than county. Now, naturally, It's a good idea. I mean, we set it up, but it would be nice if it would be able to,
And all
be
I can tell you is
self-sufficient.
we are diligently working, looking at any type of funding that would fund. It's difficult to find the funding for shelters. There's money out there, but as you well know, every grant has its specifications and where you can use it and where you can't. We have reached out to Mary Kay Foundation. We're looking at applying with the Methodist Ministries, working with other organizations to see what we can do about getting foundation money. And I'm just very hopeful that, here's how it's going to work with the state. If Health and Human Services has something that they deem to be disallocated funding, let's say somebody misuses funding somewhere in the state, and they have additional money, we can access that. But that's something that we have to continually be calling the state. If that money is not available, it's a funny thing how they do it. You know, once they're funded, you know, there's really no competitiveness in bidding for shelter money. It's once you got it, it's there unless you really mess up and lose it, like what happened with the former organization. You're pretty much fixed. So, you know, I've spoken to that and saying, you know, what kind of outcome measures are you looking at? What kind of performance standards do you have? There is none at the state level. So in that sense, maybe that's good for some things, it's bad for another. How do you measure competitiveness? But that's state issue. That would be the only way that at the current state, if the money is not increased overall for shelters, are we going to be able to access that money? But I would certainly want to say, bear with us in terms of let's see what the city does, and then we can take it from there. We could maybe possibly adjust, you know, the county amount. I don't want to compromise.
Well, I mean, you know, like Commissioner Owens said, we started this program with the intent that it would become self-sufficient at some point. And at some point, I think it's a great program. We need to continue. And we've dedicated a lot of effort and money into this program and buildings and all that. You know, if the city would be willing to share that cost 50-50 and do something with it, you know, I'd be more inclined so that we could, you know, because it is costing, it's not just the money we're giving you, it's the other costs associated with the building and the lease and the utilities. And so there's another piece to this. And so I would be inclined to see if the city would at least split the cost with us on the total cost. Just to get y'all where you need to be, you know, and get us where we need to be.
Yes, we certainly will negotiate and try to negotiate with the city. I would certainly remind you that, you know, the reason also that we needed additional money was this year we're projecting, this quarter alone, we're a deficit of over $11,000. So that if we do that over 4 quarters, we're looking at approximately close to $50,000 that Quad County is also, you know, pitching into this thing because we believe in this. We believe that this is something that is needed. So why did we need extra funding? Number one is we needed additional staff, and you know, that's why we get these additional, because we have to bring in people to cover certain shifts. We're running this program with 1 person per shift, which is totally inadequate. And so we have to use volunteers, or we'll have to call in somebody to be part-time, and that's where it costs, you know, increases.
Okay.
With that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really do appreciate it.
All right, let's go to item 8, progress report on the West Gate. Go ahead, Mr. Padilla, let's present the report.
Are we doing the apprentice? You got your son with you? Oh, that's too cool. You should have brought him up here and introduced him to the
Good morning.
Right.
The project is going as scheduled. Friday afternoon, we got change order number 20 approved, so that moves the completion date from today, it was supposed to be completed to July 15th. We got a couple of more change orders coming up, 21 and 22, which will probably extend the date to August of 20, I believe it's 28, for substantial completion. We get weekly or daily reports from the project manager on site that represents Chuck Willis, and I get those every afternoon about 4:30. And Friday afternoon, I get the weekly report. I don't know how to, I think I've shown this to you before. And there's a committee that meets every other week.
Should I call you? Should I call you?
Friday, there were 2 days left, which today was the deadline. But again, like I said, we have received our change order approval between the architect, engineers, and they go back and forth until they get it correct. Right now, they're doing mostly air conditioning and electrical work, and that's, I'm not sure, finishing that up. That's our daily report. Well, that was a weekly report. Here's the daily report. So on a daily basis, we get updates on who's there, what are they doing, exactly what they're doing, what they're anticipating of doing. I think you sent an email saying that we need to keep the commissioners aware, and we are aware. The judge is aware, and we try to keep them up to date on everything that's going on. In addition to that, we asked for Albright to give us a look ahead, and about a month ago, back in June, and they did give us, I don't know how to work this out.
That's perfect.
Okay, that was in June. You see the things that they've been doing, and you see the weekly meeting every other week. At the bottom there, progress, we call them progress meetings. What they're starting, what they're actually working on, what they completed, so on and so forth. That was for June, up to June the 30th. This is what they anticipate. Doesn't mean that they're ahead of schedule on some of these things, but this is what they anticipated 2 months ago. Toward the end, you could see that last week, of the 24th to the 28th, it's mostly last minute kind of things. Acoustic ceilings, carpet, continuing the progress, but everything should be completed by the 21st. And they also did for August, although I think we'll be out of there before August. But mostly of this is final inspection, the pre-final inspection, and then the final cleanup. And they're out of there after that. We turn over the keys to the
And we're within budget.
yes, sir, we are. Completely within budget. The change orders are minimal. They're not anything that needs to be come to before the court. Anything over 50,000, that's what companies really.
But it's still gonna fall within the amount of the grant. We're not gonna use any of our monies.
We anticipate that, yes, sir.
Good stuff.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Petty.
Thank you.
All right, next we have item 9, discuss the possible action on 2017-2018 budget. The reason I put that here is because when I'm going to present the budget, it's going to be after we do the audit and the audit, accept the audit report. But at the same time, I want the people, the supervisors, elected officials to know that on the week of the 20, we don't know yet exact date, but I'll post the agenda item on the 24th through the 28th or 29th. The last week of July, we'll have a budget workshop. Is that the dates the last week of July, 24th to 29th? Is that correct? Yeah. Well, we're going to have a budget workshop and where some supervisors, elected office people want to hire new hirees, and that's where you present your case. See, the Commissioners Court accepts those hirees. So I know there's some departments that want 1, 2, some people want up to 7 employees, but that's the time we discuss it. So I'm going to present the budget before then, and then if the Commissioners want to add employees, I know, let me give you an example here, is that I would like to see if we could hire a part-time engineer to help us out with these projects that we're going to bring along. I talked to some commissioners. I think that if we hire part-time engineer that's retired, wants to come work 4 or 5 hours a day, I think that would be a good idea, because if you notice that the Westgate project was done in the right amount of time, under budget, on time, because it was done at the Air Force Base, and so therefore we used the Air Force Base engineers to help us along and guide us to make sure that the project was on time, on schedule, and what was required. So to me, it brought up a light that says we do need, especially for the projects, when we did the library, we would have had an engineer, I think we would have done a lot faster projects. And I'm just bringing that up, and if the commissioners want to hire a part-time engineer, it's fine. If they don't, fine, but that's when I present the case. I'm just giving an example. Anybody else have a comment on that? Commissioner, I think you had some questions on that, on the budget?
Well, our numbers and on our interest and sinking, when you look at the total dollar amount of what we would end up with at the end of our budget, I think we had $890,168 ending cash balance, and we're going to be closer to the $1.7 million ending cash balance. So, but as Commissioner Nettleton had stated, we're off on that account, $1,022,000. Even with this 868, well, at the end of the day, what it amounts to, I think, is that next year, our line of credit, we're not going to be able to have a $910,000 line of credit. I mean, if best case scenario, we might be talking about a $400,000 and then use the excess in order to balance that for the next 4 years. But still, we've got individuals that are asking for employees, and when you look at the overall budget, I just don't see the money.
Right.
I mean, it's not there. I think we have some other projects that are coming up, one of them going to be Frontera Road. Our IT department, if we go in and try to set some money aside for them, for this, was it VoIP, through our internet, that would actually save us some money. When we get to our road and bridge, we are about $356,000 short on it. There is going to be some savings within our general fund that we're not going to have to pay again. Bottom line, IT phase 1, that'll be gone. Amistad Acres, the West Gate. And if you take away the remainder of the capital outlay that we did last year, which was $107,000 after the 425, you know, there's a savings there of $876,000. The half of that is going to be eaten up with our numbers when we go to do our numbers on Geo and try to get it back to where it's supposed to be instead of in La La Land. I think this next year is going to really have to tighten our belt. I don't see any new employees. I don't see starting off that we will have any capital outlay until we get some of these other projects done, and then come to the end of it. And once we get our numbers better, then we'll look at our capital outlay. That's just my opinion.
I think we're going to have a very lean year this year. Where are we at on the special funds with the attorneys?
I think they're pretty much finished. The last we heard, they were going to make some calls to the auditor and treasurer to check on where I don't know if it was like the checks or something, the dual signatures, and once they did that, they were going to be done, so.
Would they be able to come in this month and give a presentation
definitely.
on where we're at? Maybe we can set them up when we do that meeting next week or week after next. Because I would like to get that resolved on the special funds before we get into the budget to figure out all of those issues. And then once we get into the budget,
We also need to discuss how we're going to.
More or less when we're going to want them to come.
I think we have a meeting on the 17th.
Yeah.
They're still trying to set it up.
I think the 17th.
Okay.
Huh?
They're still trying to set that one up.
Yeah, we're trying to set that one up.
I'll get with the judge then and find out.
And we also need to see how we can manage the road and bridge. I think every year we're
several $100,000 short.
We're $356,000 going into next year short.
Yeah.
There's we really can't cut funds. I mean, we picked up, I think, $27,000 in that one because of the TRIZ, or that deal, we were
Mhm.
$27,000, I think, underfunding it from there. But once you do that, you do the raises, and we were able to, with, I guess, attrition and people moving from one precinct to the other precinct, we saved about $10,000 that our salaries went down. But at the end of the day, we're still round numbers, $356,000 off on that. And, there's nowhere where to cut, on that. You either put a line item in your general fund just to fund the ballots, or you move some pennies over, whichever way the court would like to do it. We do the line item within the budget of the 356. We actually have a better cash balance on it. If something happens, we can actually use it right away versus waiting for the tax dollars to come in on the pennies.
When do you anticipate having your budget filed?
Hopefully by next week, after we adopt a audit report, like that. Mhm.
Okay. Now, once we do that, then we'll
Yeah.
go through it.
Okay. But I put this on the agenda just so you guys know the dates and be prepared to discuss certain items. That's basically what it was for.
I don't think we're going to be able to start off with any of the capital outlay in there.
No.
I think it needs to start off with it completely out.
Right.
You're starting your budget with about $2 million short, and then you have a $1.2 million deficit in the Frontera Road project. So
Right.
we have to make up those first before we do anything else.
Okay. Any other question on the budget? Okay, thanks. Okay, next we have item 10, discuss possible action on adding the public information officer duties to road and guards at $6,000 a year. And the reason I put this in there is because when I started, there was only one other applicant that applied for this job, but she wanted to work 4 hours a day, part-time, and it would be more than $10,000 as a part-time employee. So I don't have a fund for
We
that.
could just add this when we're doing our fiscal year. We've got 3 months left.
Yeah, no, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem adding it in the fiscal year. But that $6,000 will come out of my salary from my budget.
Motion to approve
There's a
in the
motion.
next fiscal year.
There's a motion second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nobody? Thank you. All right, next, discuss possible action on approved Middle Rio Grande Development Council membership dues for the fiscal year 2017, 2018.
Motion to approve.
Motion. There's a motion, a second, any discussion?
You still sit on this board, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Mr. Garza sits on the wastewater, and Mr. Padilla sits on the legal. Okay. All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? Thank you. All right, next, discuss action on reappointing a new member to the Grant Review Committee.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Roy Muskis and to replace David.
Second. What, you're gonna replace David? Roy Muskis will replace David?
David.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? Thank you. Next, discuss possible action to review and reappoint members to the Audit Review Committee.
I don't know who we had on it before.
Matt, we had,
We're going to have the auditor.
the auditor, Roy, and Mr.
Ramito was on it. Roy wasn't on it. I thought you were on it. Was you on it?
Yeah, I was.
You were on it.
Yeah, whenever they called me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You want to appoint him to the audit?
Or do you need to pick all the members?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, Mr. Muskis, Aaron.
I'd like to be on it.
Okay, and yourself? Ms. Ford?
Anybody else?
Anybody
How
else?
many members do we have?
4?
Oh, 5.
How many members do we have?
So we can set whatever we want.
Yeah.
We would like 2 from the court. I remember the tax assessors usually on
Oh, yeah, the tax assessor.
Okay.
Oh, that's
All right.
right.
So it'd be Matt, Aaron, Mr. Muskis, Commissioner Owens, and Lee Munoz. Anybody else?
You said they would like to have 2 members from the court.
Yes.
You want to
Okay,
vote?
that's fine.
Okay,
Vote.
and vote.
Sure.
All right. There's a motion and a second.
Who made the motion?
I've already made a motion.
Oh, okay, I'll second it.
There's a motion, a second, I'm sorry. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Next, item 14,
Judge,
discuss.
real quick,
Mhm.
who's gonna be in charge of to make sure we
Matt.
get a call? Matt?
Matt?
All right.
Okay.
Just to be
Right.
clear.
All right, next, discuss possible action on the adoption of the Valverde County Appraisal District fiscal year 2018-20 proposed budget. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Before
I
you
got a
start,
bunch of questions.
Hey, you answered part of the question that I had on the raises, because when I look at, when I go through and look at it, I mean, we're struggling here to give our employees $1,000 a year raise, and we have some individuals that are making considerably more.
The disparity between and so we when we look at those, we did it in 2 steps. Once we looked at the folks that were making at the entry level and the appraisers, and then we took care first of over a 2-year period, getting all of the appraisers and the support staff up to the pay scale.
The pay scale that y'all went back and looked at who?
We looked at comparable appraisal districts, so we did kind of a salary study.
We tried the same thing here, we couldn't afford it. Maybe it's time to, your insurance is outrageous, what you're paying in insurance.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand, and I asked, was it Matt or somebody, to get a hold of TAC and see if we can bring y'all underneath our insurance, because we're paying $400 something a month. You're paying $800 a month. Y'all gotta find some different options. That is just, that is outrageous.
We approached first the school. They contractually aren't unable to. We have sent formal letters to the county and to the city, trying to go to the option. The only other option we have is try to find maybe a few other appraisal districts that might try to form a pool. It's not gonna be nearly as much of a savings, but we're actively working on that. And we've bid it and rebid it in the last 3 years that I've been there.
What was the answer when you asked the question? What, did we get?
We're gonna try to get an answer from TAC if they can come up. Oh, I asked you,
They
or
will
that's
have,
what.
I already researched it, they will, all they have to do is contact Texas Association.
Okay, so see, there's $400 a month.
That was,
And we do this anytime outside of the budget. There's no budget cycle. As soon as we're able to change, we can change it.
And then y'all can amend the budget and give us the difference back because it's double.
Yeah, this year you'll be receiving back probably around $40,000 back, of the excess. We do have to budget. We have a couple, we're fortunate enough to have a couple of employees that take care of their own insurance through their spouses. And so that's a savings we have every year that goes back to the.
Do you have time, or do we have to, accept your budget right now? In other words, if you visited with TAC before the next meeting, y'all got that done, brought us back another budget.
If you don't approve it by July 17th, it's automatic.
It goes down.
So you either deny it or approve it.
And anything that would be, any savings that would come back would be in 1 year. At the end of that year would go back to the entity.
I mean, y'all just heard our discussion that we're gonna be cutting this year, and I think everybody needs to tighten up just a little bit. The school district is staring down the back of the same problems. I choose not to do it with a tax increase, but, the city's looking down the same issues with tax increases. Maybe this is one of those years that we need to relook at cutting and savings a little bit and maybe maintaining where we were at last year.
Okay.
Why are we,
Excuse me.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
You already have your workman's compensation set up through Texas Association of Counties.
Yes, sir, we
So
do.
it would be a very simple step, as I advised somebody over there about a year ago, just to simply contact them and have Mr. Ernesto come down and give them an option of plans, because they already have their workman's comp tax.
You did get that he contacted somebody over a year ago and hadn't been done.
What's that?
You got the part that he contacted somebody last year and it still wasn't done.
No.
I just want y'all to
We're
understand.
already-
And then there's the other part where we also contacted the court and were told that.
He did get y'all's information, perfectly clear. He got it to y'all before we go back and forth. All right.
Okay.
So if y'all need help,
Okay.
Okay.
Did that?
I'm very happy to help.
And these computers, you have to replace them this year?
They're end of life and we're going on a lease to not have big expenditures and then less we're going to be.
So this $10,000 is a lease?
Mhm.
For computers and servers, 10,000, that's a lease, that's an annual lease, for how long?
For 4 years. 4 years.
I mean,
How many?
how big a system y'all got?
I mean,
It's,
Does the state not help y'all with those systems?
no,
No.
sir.
we're funded by the taxing entities. and-
No, but I didn't know if they helped you through the tax office or something like that. And then these systems here, I'm assuming talk to the tax office systems and everything else?
Oh,
Everybody's
yes,
using the same system.
yes, sir. City as well.
And why, there was another question, y'all were up on something, it seemed like,
We went up on.
Postage or
We held down
something.
the postage, the new lease system.
And the reason for postage, the reason for the increase in postage is because when we had our last state audit, our state auditor recommended that we redo our ag applications, and they're now, we have to send those out certified, just to cover.
so you're gonna go after every ag out there
In sections,
in section?
yes, sir.
Are you really willing to open that can of worms?
We just did with properties that have ag inside city limits, and so we're gonna take.
And
the
then next
properties
year, you are staring down the back of a 17% appraisal increase
For
mandated under Senate Bill 1?
possibly, yes.
No, it's not possible.
Yes.
It is. Y'all have to increase appraisals by 17% next year. The Senate Bill 1 mandated it to balance the school budget. That's a pretty substantial increase.
We do have, I don't know if you're aware of the wind farm, we do have a
No, I-
project of 200 million coming in next year.
No, I understand, but if you'll look at those wind farms, they depreciate very quickly. So that's gonna be
20% a year, right?
20% a year, so it's not gonna be a long-term deal, but you're still gonna have to increase appraisals by 17 to 20%. And,
What's the appraisal right now?
I didn't bring the numbers
They-
with me, the actual, the total for the county.
I mean, the total value for taxable for 2016 was about 2.3, almost 2.4 billion, of what it was. And it's gone up, from 2009 to 2016, it's gone up from 1.8 billion to 2.4 billion. And so there's a steady increase year after year that it happens. The other focus that the board has gone on, the project we took on about 2 years ago, was to, when we have appraisals, that they are equitable, that everybody's getting taxed correctly. So the photometry project, where we did the aerial photography in September of 2015, did find over $3 million of improvements that were not being taxed. Those were taxed over the last 5 years, including landing strips out in the county, different improvements. And so those, our goal is to make those as equitable as possible and as accurate. And so also that project also reduced some, we found some things that weren't there anymore that were taken off. And so that was our.
Having tax pipelines.
We have.
A company that they
company
hire.
that come in. We have a third-party vendor that comes in and does.
And also the wind farm, my understanding of visiting Sherry was also, I think, the same people gonna do that.
Yes,
And the pipelines are a lot better than wind farms in some senses, because they don't depreciate nearly as fast when they go into the income.
You said 2.4, is that what you said?
Back in 16, or taxable rate.
We're off 300,000 by the sheet that I got. Well, just something to look at. Comparison certified grand total of 2016 over from.
Which totals are you talking about?
we're talking about.
Group or grand?
No, these are.
Okay, let's just stop. We can visit that later.
We always get into what we assess, and then a certain percentage of it will go into review or being challenged. But it's the total.
These are the certified values are on page 6 of the budget that Sherry sent out in her packet. And so it shows you the net taxable value through 2016. And that's what we're looking at.
what's this in your budget?
That's fine. That's fine.
What's
Yeah,
in
we
your,
can figure it out.
this in your budget that says ARB meetings, $9,000, what is it for?
That is for our appraisal review board. That is for any protest that's filed throughout the protest season.
For mailings or for what?
No.
What does the money go for?
It's when it's for the committee. Whenever a person comes in to protest their value, they go before the ARB committee.
I understand
And then we have to pay them a daily.
Okay, so you're paying we're paying them a daily rate of what?
It's $75 for a full day and $37.50 for a half day.
And they also have their own separate council, and they also have a cost for training that they have to attend. And also,
So they're paid employees? They're a paid board?
They're semi-volunteers at $75 a day for.
Semi-volunteer is zero.
And we're always looking for more review board members. It's a hard group to fill, and so any candidates you might have.
Your electric bill at $1,200 a month seems a little steep.
And it's been falling under. We renegotiated our rate, and so it's been falling under.
What do y'all have now?
We have Just Energy.
Do you know what your rate is?
It is a 0.5, I believe.
With the GLO.
What are we paying?
What do you? Yeah, we're at 5.
That just seems like a lot of electricity for that building.
It's a pretty good-sized building. It's always cold in it.
Yeah. That's why it's always cold.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
And the True Automation, why is it going up?
True Automation, we do have, as our parcels increase, we do have to pay an amount per parcel. And so as our parcels increase, we, of course, are going to have an increase in our support.
And that's the same thing with the contract appraisers.
That's correct.
And on the True Automation, they've also recently added some really good mapping options on there. I encourage anybody that hasn't gone out to the True Automation website to check those out. The mapping has really improved a lot in the last couple of years. And there's also a separate project. We're working, the staff is approaching 99% of value maps on the maps. So there's still a few parcels that they don't
That's
map.
pretty scary what they did with the flood.
Yeah, I know, I saw it on my appraisal.
I didn't know I owned some of this stuff.
And I understand there's an attempt at a rule or a discussion at a rule with y'all's board about doing away with ag exempt on anything under 50 acres?
The Ag Committee sets those standards, but no, that's not necessarily true. We do have some parcels that are under 50 acres that are still getting it if they're, so no, that's not necessarily exactly true.
If they're grandfathered, they'll stay ag.
What does necessarily not exactly mean?
Well, they have to meet certain standards, and they have to meet certain animal units per acre. So if they meet that animal unit, then they could lay their land idle for 2 years to regraze it. And so it's not exactly 50 acres. It could be under. We do have some tracts that are under 50.
Oh, I know there are some now, but
That's
it's
why
my
there's
understanding.
places that are under 50 acres are called ranchitos, and they should be ag exempt.
No, and they are, but sometimes anything under 50 acres, you have to lay idle so that it could regraze, so.
And the difference in the market value of the county is 3.7 billion, and we're taxing under 2.4. And so some of that is entities that don't pay, churches, government entities, the Air Force, but ag is a big chunk of that.
Okay.
We don't do nothing, it still goes to effect
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Does anybody want to make a motion to adopt it?
Make a motion to deny it.
Second.
Motion, a second?
They're gonna get their 3 votes anyway.
You got a motion, you got a second, let's take a vote.
What? Okay, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
All right.
All those opposed? 5-0. Thank you. We're gonna do one more, and then we'll take a break. I know Mr. Cerna, Red River has to leave, so we're gonna do item 29. Recognition of Red River Waste Solutions effort to join Poverty County in war against illegal dumping.
The war on drugs, not the war on drugs.
The war on illegal dumping. As you know, this was identified as a serious problem
I have here with me Robert Montes, who is the general manager of your Red River Waste Solutions here in Del Rio. Anyway, we have had areas such as in Precinct 1, and we have areas all over the county. There was an area in Precinct 2 that borders some property that Red River owns. If you look here, you'll see this area here is owned by Red River, and this area is in an estate that's been very difficult to obtain information on or contact, really. And this is Calaveras Creek, right down the center. And
What precinct's that?
there is, sir,
What precinct's that?
this is Precinct 2.
Calaveras, I thought it was in precinct 1.
Is the landfill in your precinct?
What landfill?
It's right there across the street from our office on Virginia.
No, that's not it.
Is that Precinct 1 also in it?
Okay, I think so.
Well,
Whichever one. It don't matter.
whichever one. In other words, this is East Virginia.
That's precinct 1.
That's
That's
not
Precinct
it.
1. All right, this is East
Yeah.
And there was a terrible problem identified here. If we flew with assistance of Constable West Roan, and there was all types of building materials, things here, just unreal. Apparently people were coming in down here, I think there's a little street called Carla Street, they were coming in at this end. There were also like trails where there were vacant lots in here. And Robert came up to the office and looked at it and said, we're gonna have to do something about this. Well, he called me about maybe 3 weeks later and said, Roger, can you come out and look and see what we've done? Well, we went out there, he said, first thing I want you to understand is this is not Red River property. But he had, in his earnest, trying to assist the county, had contacted his people, and they were very concerned about the environment because all of this material that you see here is right adjacent to the Calaveras Creek, which we all know floods and empties into the San Felipe. They took heavy equipment in there, and they cleaned this thing up. It was unreal the amount of material that they were able to clean up. And not only did they clean it up, they disposed of it. It was probably, when I saw that they'd done it, it just astounded me because we knew there was a lot down there, but we didn't really know how much there was until they had it all piled up. Then they picked up a tremendous amount of tires. In addition to this, they took their equipment in there, the bulldozer that they used to clean this, and created berms at the end of Carla Street, a berm similar to what you did over there on in your situation on the Eagle Pass Road. So anyway, I wanted to recognize on behalf of the county, Robert, your attitude, your willingness to be a partner with the county, even on property that you didn't have a legal responsibility to clean up, you did. And congratulations. Thank you very much. I think
Thank you.
Robert, thank you, Robert. Yeah, thank you.
Robert, I've got a question concerning different precincts, Colonia. What is y'all's involvement with the city to pick up brush or trash? I mean, there's a lot of that.
The brush is strictly the city. The first contract that we had in 2009 for 5 years, we were in control of the brush. That was in the city limits outside, which included Cienegas and the Valverde area. After 2014, when we renewed the contract, and it's a completely whole nother contract, the city took over the brush and they eliminated those areas, the Cienegas areas and the Valverde Park Estates. I understand what goes on there in those areas. We get phone calls every day, complaints about the brush service. in those situations, I think I've spoke to you a couple of times, reach out to us, whatever we can do to try to help out. Of course, it's not gonna be something that will just swallow the complete cost, but if the city and county and we all get involved in it, we'd be glad to help whatever we can do.
I've got a claw truck precinct 4 does, and we get involved a lot on picking up brush, but we can't do it on a full-time basis. So we got other projects going, and the city is never out there. You never see them out there, and they got a claw truck, and I think y'all got a claw truck too, right?
We don't have one. After they let go of the brush service, they sent that out to another site. In those cases, maybe we'd be able to get together and schedule something out to maybe drop a can out there, or have our truck follow your truck and you load us up, and whatever the case may be, we'd be glad to help, so.
But it's not just outside the city limits. I live in your precinct,
Yeah.
and it's pecan.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, they're not picking up in the city either.
And I've gone into the city limits and helped out, but it's impossible. I wish I could help everybody, but, we don't have no involvement from the city.
And it's been out there for up to 6 weeks.
Maybe in that case, it'd be something where they said they'd be able to help us out on the landfill fees or something of that matter, but I mean, even if that isn't the case, we still be able to help.
Do you ever bring those concerns up to the city, to the mayor or
At
city
times,
manager?
we have meetings here and there with all the cities, but it's just as to what's in the contract. So,
Yeah.
So they went up on the rates and cut the service.
Everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've been picking up brush and trash in our precinct for a month, and the city waived the fees.
So that's typically what'll happen. I mean, they'll partner up like that, but if it's something that we have to send a truck out or just get together, just contact the office and I'll be glad to help.
Thank you.
This was a big project here, and of course, like Mr. Cerny said, it's not our property, but I mean, whatever we can do.
Robert, thank you for cleaning up Calaveras Creek through there.
Robert, did you get ready for a lawsuit going into private land?
Well, thank y'all for doing it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. All right.
Can't win.
All right, let's take a 10-minute break. To go back to item 15, discuss some possible action donating caliche to Valverde County Precinct 2 for road construction on Bowling Creek Road.
Make a motion to accept the caliche donated by Commissioner Martin Wardlaw. This has been an ongoing process, but the majority reason or the reason for this one item is also because now he's become a commissioner. And the public needs to know that we have been and we will continue to accept his caliche.
Okay.
Second.
And this is in Commissioner Owens' precinct. He's fixing to have 2 more pipelines come through up there, and he's gonna have extreme use on that road. And it's, I'd like to urge all property owners to donate. He has a problem with the first 5 miles of caliche on there, and, but he's fixing to have a heavy use.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
I want to thank Commissioner Wardlaw for the.
Well, thank you.
All right, now,
We're all being way too nice.
I think we all had a good breakfast. All right, let's go to item 16, discuss possible action on lease agreement between Valverde County and the Texas Senior Pro Bowl Right.
Judge, we don't have a lease agreement on this yet because he said he wanted to do it, hasn't said he wanted to do it. But I'd like to make a motion that if he comes back between now and the next meeting in August, that if all the paperwork is prepared, that we accept the lease and give authority to the judge to sign.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Next, item 17, discuss possible action on a resolution to reimbursement on bond election time, line by Norton Rose Fulbright, US LLP.
Judge, I have this item and I'll let them discuss it. This resolution allows us, as y'all know, we have hired an engineering firm to start design on a sports complex and looking at the possibility of a bond election in November. This resolution would allow us to reimburse ourselves for any expenditures made through that bond. So any money we spent up to the point where the bond was issued, it doesn't mean we have to. It means we have the option to if we choose to. But if we do not do this resolution, we will not have the ability to reimburse ourselves for any money that we spent up to that point. And I'll let them go through a
Before
little
we
more.
get started, if we've written, so I understand, if we pass this today, any of the money that we spend after today? or
No, anything that we've
We
done.
spent it all? In other words, have we written a check for this yet?
No.
For the first year? So we'd be okay?
If I could, for the record, Arnold Cantu.
I'll
answer your question.
I don't like you.
He wanted it quick and simple.
Well, the timeframes for this, if we were to approve this reimbursement resolution today, you would have a look back of 60 days
So we're
from
covered.
today. So any expenses made 60 days prior to today, IRS regulations give you 18 months from the later of the expenditure or the time that the project is operational. So that should give us more than sufficient leeway to have a bond election, issue the bonds, and get those funds to reimburse ourselves. Once we receive the funds from closing the bonds, we'll need to reimburse the county within 30 days. So there's plenty of time, I believe.
There's a couple of numbers and some things I think we need to plug into this.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Now, you'll see on the first page, and I believe Mr. Villaseñor will have more to say on that. The county will have to figure out where the number falls, I guess. And so that's a decision best left to the commission and to Mr. Villaseñor, so Mr. Villaseñor's advice. But that's-
What we would need to do is here where it says not, the amount, principal amount not to exceed. We need a number there.
That's correct, that's correct. And obviously, like you said, it's not, the number that you put down on that blank is not tying your hands. You're not forced to pay that much or that little. But you might want to add a little bit more wiggle room just in case there's something there, like I said, you're not obligating yourself.
Because we currently have under contract the engineers at 60-something thousand.
65?
So what would we'll put there, Commissioner?
You need to put more than that.
Yeah, I'll let our financial advisor give us some advice. And maybe you could take up item 17 and 18 at the same time, Judge, that way you can.
Okay, let's take up both of them at the same time. Discuss possible action on presentation of bond election by financial advisor Raul Villaseñor. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Judge, Commissioners Court, members of the staff. Here's another taxable value number. We did get this from the office, which is the 2016 number. Again, we were asked to run 4 different scenarios based on an amount that the court could consider for the project. Again, none of this obligates you to anything. These are simply some numbers that we were asked to run because you might expect that if you were going to decide on sizing the project, and I've got some handouts.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I just didn't get it.
Don't put that on Snapchat.
It's done. No, it's not.
He's not that technology. Trust me, it ain't done. He's not that quick with technology, so it's all right, don't worry. If it was one of these kids, it'd already be on here.
It'd have been sent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That would be nice. That one guy told me to shut up.
I'm going to cut through the first few pages. This is back on page 6. Because these are sort of the numbers that you're looking for. We can go back to the other pages if necessary. But we were asked to sort of just run some scenarios because the important thing for the court is obviously what's the tax rate impact of whatever you decide you want to set as your limit for the project. So what we did is we took some arbitrary, what we call par amounts, money available to spend for the project, including the costs associated with the issuance of the debt. At $6 million, $8 million, $10 million, $12 million. We amortized it, paid it back over 20 years, and used an assumed interest rate of 3.5%. The column, the next column over estimated average annual debt service, that would be your annual payment. So the bond payments, assuming you borrowed $6 million, would be about $423,000, all the way up to almost $845,000 on an annual basis again, for $12 million. Now, what's the impact? Assuming a taxable value of just under $2.4 billion, the tax rate impact is shown on the far right-hand side. Almost 2 pennies for the $6 million, and almost 3.7 pennies for the $12 million. So that's what the court would have to obligate in terms of the tax rate, right? If you wanted to size the project in any one of these levels.
So then when we do the election, then the voters would approve an amount and a tax rate necessary to cover that amount.
That's correct. That's typically part of the sales process of the election, as we did with the library. The court approved a certain cost for that library improvement project, and then we were able to tell the community, this is the impact on the tax rate if you approve the project at this amount of money. I think that was about $6 million.
Is it possible in a bond election to have like 4 options? The voters could pick one or the other, or we need to pick?
No, you could have multiple propositions, certainly.
So you could allow the voters to have an option to pick either 6, 8, 10, or 12?
Well, I think you have to approach it, I think, the other way is, here's the projects, right? Because I found, particularly over the last 10 years, the electorate is not going to simply let you write your check for $6 million or $7 million or $10 million. They want to know what the projects are. Right? So I think if you're going to approach it from a multi-proposition standpoint, then you want a very clear difference between each of the propositions. Maybe one is the basic athletic complex, and the more expensive one is obviously, and there might be more detail, more options, more different kinds of fields, maybe an indoor gymnasium, that sort of thing. Let me, just because you're looking for a number, we want to start here, but let me hand it back to Mr. Combs.
In terms of the multiple propositions, how would you calculate it? If you voted no, if you had your no's, would it be no, and that number would apply to the proposition, or?
Right, that's how.
So you could break up the yeses? Does that make sense? Like you had 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, and you had, no, that doesn't make sense. 20, 10, 20, 10, and the no's, I'm not saying.
You have to have yes and no's on each one.
Yeah,
Each proposition would have a yes, no.
Yeah. Well, but remember, you don't want all 4 propositions approved, because that wouldn't make much sense. I'm assuming that one gives you more. Right? So I think it would have. I think you're headed in the right direction to sort of limit the complexity of the multi-proposition. Is that the court certainly could approve the lowest cost project if that was approved, but you could also approve the most expensive project if that was also approved. But you wouldn't do all 4 things because they cover the same project.
Yeah. And I'm not saying
so the language is, you're right, it's going to.
Because you have, with the 10, 20, 10, 20, you'd have 60 total.
Right. No.
And then the no would be,
That's what you definitely don't want the community thinking that you want them to
approve all of them.
Yeah.
$26 million.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So the language on multi-proposition would have to be.
And I'm not saying we do that, I was just curious if you can. I mean,
It'd be a little more difficult. Now, if you had different projects, right, for each proposition, which is more typical, right?
So you could do a 12 million, but approve within the bounds of that 12. Ball fields would be 4 million, they approve that, or this would be a part and they would approve that.
You could
And
do
then
that.
for a total not to exceed.
That's a better approach for the multi-proposition approach.
and it's yes, no for each proposition.
Right.
I'm just curious.
I think when we talked to Art, that they would put it in phases, and they would say phase 1 and 2 would be that, phase 1 will only be this, and all that.
And that may be the way we can do that.
Okay.
So you need numbers.
Yeah, I think with Commissioner Navku's questions about filling in the blank.
Yeah.
And again, the only intent of this page is to give you a rough idea
Right.
of the tax rate.
he'd asked you to help with that number.
Well, I don't know the scope of the project, unfortunately, so I don't know which number is.
But this number here that we're putting is only what we're gonna reimburse ourselves, not the cost of the entire project. Whatever we would expend, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Not the cost of, if we decided to do a $12 million bond, but we only spent $150,000, we're only talking about the money we're gonna spend.
That's correct. You're
Get reimbursed.
looking at the period between 60 days ago and the moment that you sell the bonds and have the money to do the project at large. So if you're doing architectural design, engineering, the preliminary phases, those expenses could be reimbursed.
Agree. And we have 65 in it right now. We're gonna have to run probably before you get started. It goes through some utility lines, all that stuff. You could have a couple $100,000 in it, easy.
But what's the timeline, 60 days before what?
Well, 60 days from today.
Okay.
In the past. And then essentially, given the timeline, you have 18 months after the project goes operational. So that's way ahead of the bond election itself and issuing the bonds and getting the funds from that bond. So the easiest way to think about it is today's the 10th, May 10th, until the time that we get the funds from the bond sale.
What do most communities do in this case? Do they put the total amount of the projected bond? So you'd put the 12 or 6 million or whatever. That's normally what they do.
Even though you don't have the intent
Yeah.
of cash funding
Mm-hmm.
the entire project and then reimbursing yourselves, typically we see the total cost of the project.
Well, that was the answer right now.
All right. And then what was the other blank you needed? There was one up here at the top, or at least on mine there is.
Well, the resolution number on top would be the blank I think you're referring to.
No, mine has a blank right here.
Recreational facilities included.
I have a blank here. I don't know if you have one. But
The most recent one that we have in the
This is what?
language that we gave you has this right here. And I can go ahead and put that up if you want. We have.
Yeah.
Did you look at the time?
Yeah, if y'all changed it, then that's fine.
So for the purposes that you have blank, we have including the sports park, related infrastructure, and the purchase of materials, supplies, equipment, machinery, land, rights of way, and authorized needs and purposes relating to the aforementioned.
So you've already filled it.
Okay.
Yeah, you already filled it.
Yes, sir.
I will,
It's a dollar amount.
then I'll make a motion to approve the resolution of the dollar amount of 12 million.
Okay, need a second for that?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nobody, 5-0. Thank you.
Oh, and you need to go through the timeline. Yeah, yeah.
Second, so once you have the proposition, we'll be working with Ms. Ramon on the numbers and the propositions if and when that arises. If I could just bring up a few quick points. This is all assuming a November 7th, 2017 uniform election date for the bond election. We reserve, I guess we might have to change some issues in case the 85th legislature throws a wrench in our plans. There was nothing in the regular session, there's a special session now, so we'll be on guard for that. As far as key dates, there's a little bit of wiggle room given the November 7th date. Sometime between August 9th and August 21st, we'll have the election order finalized, we'll have the propositions needed, the polling places, and the amounts that need to be voted on ready. And we'll publish that in the newspaper, the Del Rio News Herald, twice, on October 12th and October 19th, 2017. With that, we should have, as I said, the election on November 7th, a canvassing period, and a contestation period after that. I'm sure this is not y'all's first rodeo, so that's all known to you folks. And should have funds no later than should have an authorized bond election no later than December 20th, 2017. So at that point, we should have essentially a green light from the Attorney General. They won't have any issue with the legality of the election process.
So, but this court needs sometime between the 9th and the 21st to call the election.
That's correct.
That's the next time frame. August.
Right.
Do you have any questions on it?
Any questions?
That'll work. You have this timeline, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions for?
No, unless the court has any questions for me. I mean, obviously, it continues to be a great time to borrow money. The Fed is certainly moving in a direction to tighten the money supply. We've been operating under what typically referred to as a loose money supply since 2009. For those of us that are old enough to remember borrowing money at 13, 14, 15%. It's kind of hard to say that you don't have good borrowing rates. And we see that to continue. You'll have the fluctuations that go on. This is a 10-year look back. You'll have the fluctuations that go up and down, but I think by and large, communities still see this to be a great time to borrow money for your capital projects.
What's the longest we can extend these out on these, since it's an election? We have them 20, which is what I'd ask you.
Yeah, the statute says 40 years.
Okay.
I've never done a bond issue for 40 years just because you want to be careful about the useful life of the assets you're buying out. For you folks, you're doing athletic facilities, so those would tend to be longer-lived assets, but we're always cognizant of the useful life of whatever you're buying or building, because you certainly don't want to continue to pay for that project after you've abandoned it.
Yeah. Would we need to get a new bond rating since this is an
Well,
election?
remember that the county does not currently have a bond rating.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a pretty major decision that the court, if it decides to embark on getting a rating, because there's a lot of factors that go into a community's decision to whether to secure a bond rating or not. In the past, we've been very successful in being able to have the county's bonds privately placed and still get good, attractive rates, but they've been fairly short-term bond issues, right? Except for the library project.
But since it was an election and the bonding companies aren't as...
Certainly, they would fall, whenever you hold an election and the community approves that bond issuance, that's sort of the best kind of bond issue that you can have for a municipality, whether it's a city or a county. We typically refer to that as a general obligation bond. And so those are going to be well received by the investment community and would typically garner a very good rating. For a community such as this, where you all aren't in the market sort of every year or twice a year, sometimes it may not make a lot of sense to go out and get a bond rating. Because then there's certain things that you have to do every year in order to maintain that rating. And nobody wants to be around when your particular municipality gets downgraded. Because then the finger pointing starts. So my recommendation would be, even on this size issue, that unless there's a strong feeling among the core that you want to begin to be a rated community, which would imply that you're contemplating sort of regular debt issues.
But in reality, I mean, what you're saying is, we don't need it.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, because they don't want to go through it, because it's a nightmare.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but you look, our audits are always, what's the word, Matt? Unmodified. So, we're getting good ratings from our external auditor. We still have money left over at the end of the year.
Hope so.
And our rates are, when you look at our rates, they're good.
Very attractive rates.
Yeah, already. To where if we went out and did a bond rating, it could,
if you were
we're already getting a good rate.
If you were going down a path where you were expecting to do annual issuances, we'd be having a discussion. With the sort of the periodic issuances that you folks have entertained over the years, I don't believe that it's expensive.
We did one in 2013. We did another one in 2016. So they're far apart.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
That's all I've done.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 19, discuss possible action, presentation of LPA engineers and proposed sports complex.
They had, we'd had a meeting, was it a month ago? With all of the different leagues, and this presentation is kind of what they came up with that the leagues were asking for.
You have a copy?
I can know this. My name's Travis Rice, I'm with LPA. As Bo mentioned, we had a community workshop meeting a month ago-ish, and we put these questions on, we had a couple exercises, we put these questions on big boards, and everyone posted note, kind of wrote their reaction to the question. And what we did, and we also had some image boards that people could vote whether they like something or not. We ranked amenities, we, just a few exercises to kind of get a feel for what the community wants.
Excuse me, before you continue, how many were in the meeting so people will know it was well represented?
30?
Right at 30.
About 30. It seemed like every sporting.
Right.
Yeah, the only sport that didn't have multiple individuals, I think, was soccer. But everybody was called, we just had their own.
That's absolutely right. So what we did is we went back, we kind of tabulated, organized that data, and we came up with kind of our guiding principles, which we'll present at the next community workshop as a recap. But it's, the overall one is create a long-term strategy to benefit the residents of Alberta County. And then the 3 ways we can do that is create a safe environment for all agents at Alberta that provides diversity of activities and athletic opportunities. So that catches all the people that wanted bird watching or skate park or hike and bike trails, things like that. And then also, you know, the athletic portion, which is the driver of the project. Provide cost-effective modern amenities that touch lightly on the land. And that kind of captures, there's quite a few comments related to, hey, let's spend this money appropriately and not go crazy, but do something responsible. And also, touch lightly on the land is more, you know, kind of a nod to sustainability, respect for the environment. And the last one was create a regional and statewide destination for athletic events that contributes to economic sustainability and growth. So a lot of the comments were, we need a place where people from out of town can come and have a tournament. People can stay at the hotels, stay in town, eat here. Some of them are even like move here, and so that was just kind of a big takeaway we got from a lot of those comments. So that's kind of going forward how we're looking at it, I think. And then, but the next meeting might inform us a different way. That's why we have 3 of them to kind of, you know, continually gauge everyone's interest. And then I was just going to go over.
Are we buying an extra 50 acres?
Not necessarily. They're depending on what it all fits on.
This. There's the quantities, kind of, we gave everyone with each sport a handout and asked them, how many fields do you want? So the Babe Ruth guys, the Little League guys, all the baseball guys got together and created a list. And that's what you see for baseball, softball sports. So, and then indoor sports is pretty, you know, you can rearrange those things in many ways, cross sports, things like that. But basically they want 4 basketball, volleyball courts. Obviously, it's in lots of bleachers because that's a problem with a lot of those venues. Field sports, 2 to 3 football fields that would share with soccer, and both groups were good with that. Soccer we just got in the mail on Friday, and this is, that's kind of the list. So U.S. Soccer just went through a big thing last year to size the fields appropriately for age groups. I had a long conversation with the soccer guy at the meeting, and it looks like he kind of agreed that if we're going to hold tournaments or do anything like that, even if a lot of these clubs don't agree with the new field dimensions, they know that's the way it's going. So that's kind of what, and all these fields overlay on top of each other.
So it doesn't necessarily mean you're building that many fields.
No.
You can build one and utilize it for
When
3
we were
or 4
looking
different
at
things.
ours, when we were looking at the plan we kind of put together, it was between 3 and 6 fields. It's just, that's when we're going to determine baseball or soccer or what's a priority on the amount of land we have. So, and that's what we're coming up with now. So we have, if we put everything everyone wants, I will show this, on a piece of property, and just assume this is generic for now. That's about a 100-acre piece of property. So knowing that we can't afford all this now, that's where the next community workshop will be. We're going to master plan and develop these and show everyone what the ultimate goal would be, and then we chop it up into appropriately priced project.
So it would take 100 acres to build everything everybody wanted.
Take 100 acres to get everything with enough parking and the trails and playgrounds, just all the stuff. And then if you had 60 acres, hypothetically,
The red lines, is that more or less the layout though of what you might be getting?
Kind of, sort of, but not exactly, but yeah.
But it's close?
Close.
Okay.
so that's 60 acres-ish. So you don't get as many ball fields, you get half the amount of soccer fields, depending on which one's a priority.
Is there a gym in there?
That, or orangish yellow circle,
Okay.
that's out of the floodplain,
Mhm.
so that would be
Amazing.
community center type.
And then you're gonna eventually get to where you can price out each one of these. So we can say a softball field is whatever it is and this, and then you can start picking and saying, okay, this is all these pieces, and you put them. Okay.
Would you show the audience what you got there?
Yeah. So this was the second one I showed. This is for a kind of a 60-acre property. So it's not everything that everyone wanted. And we can leave these behind if you want to look at them. From the kind of our community workshop, this is everything everybody wanted from the sports aspect. And then the nature trails and bird watching and things like that are a little more ambiguous, located along an arroyo or a water course.
If we were gonna do this, wouldn't we want, because when you look at the dollar amounts, the 12 million, that's not gonna be
Oh, no.
the 100 acres, but wouldn't we wanna get it drawn out to where?
I would like us to have a master plan of the ultimate deal.
And that's what we're doing. We're gonna draw a master plan, then we're gonna decide what we can build. So like
Commissioner,
full plan, and then we'll highlight what.
have you talked to any landowners around there that are willing to donate land or sell land?
The problem, that right there, there's only one landowner.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, even if we had to do something to acquire more land and nothing else, that way nobody else goes and gets it. It just.
And that's part of the discussion, I guess, this court needs to have, and then we need to have with the individual that owns the property, if we can get to 100 acres, and I don't know, I haven't had that conversation yet. I was kind of waiting to see what it was gonna take to fit everything everybody wanted, and I wasn't sure what size of property that was gonna take.
The only thing, thank you, but before I keep on, the soccer fields, they're using the same soccer field to reuse it for another size or whatever. The day that they play soccer, you have the little bitty fields, where you have your U6, U8 playing, and your bigger fields, they're used all day long. It's one of those deals, so I don't know how you would reuse.
It's planning the schedule. There's a lot of times.
Well, I can tell you, the biggest fields, they might not get used all day long. But a lot of the times, especially when you look at the amount of teams that he has, he's had over 700, 800 kids out there that are in the league.
Yeah.
So, and you can say, well, we can make a better schedule.
No, but that's normally when I go to a soccer field or there's a tournament my kids playing, it's.
Well, the tournament would be fine.
No, or even on a Saturday. The kids get their games done in the early morning, like the U6, U8. They get their first, and then you move them because they're.
I can tell you, when our kids were there, the fields were being used all day long.
Yeah.
All the fields.
I believe.
So to use the big field for the little kids, since if we're going to go down this road and use this much money,
yes. And what we're saying is that there's 6 fields. That's a great, that's probably the minimum you want for a tournament. right? Minimum.
Well, I'm just saying, your everyday play is what scares me, because you go down there and, I mean, they're full.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we sort of need to look at maybe, maybe not using one or two of the bigger fields for other things, that way you have enough smaller fields.
I'd still recommend you design it
No,
for
no.
that big field.
No, that's fine, you design it, but I just want to make sure if we're going to spend $4 million, not
Field
have enough
4
field.
can be U8 fields, but if you have a U12 tournament, U14, it can be a big field. We're just saying the way they've done it, it makes it easier now to plan, because you just plan for big fields. And then whether it's used as a big field in your community or
small
not,
field.
you can dedicate it however you want, but in the event you need it, it's there.
Well, I agree on building a big field, I just think we need to have enough fields to make sure that it's accommodated.
Yeah.
And they're not that expensive. Soccer is not that expensive.
No, it's not going to be like the baseball field where you're going to have lights and fence and everything else.
In soccer, you can share lights, if you're gonna light it,
I know the most expensive part in these fields is lighting. And then the second big ticket item in this project is gymnasiums. Those are your big ticket items. And I'm assuming you'll be able to break that down as to the cost of a field without lighting versus the cost of a field with lighting.
Yeah.
So we can kind of figure out what those.
All right.
And then we're planning on hopefully setting up something next week for another community meeting.
Right.
Yep, you're gonna let us.
Yes, we'll assume.
Okay. Any other questions?
You need anything from us?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's go to item 20. Thank you. Have a safe trip. Discuss possible action approval and use technology account for purchase of a printer.
Does he have money in his account?
He does.
Okay,
So he's good?
He's good.
Motion approved.
Second.
there's a motion, a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? Thank you. Item 21, discuss possible action on evaluation, ranking, and grant writing and grant administration proposal review for 2017-2018. TxDOT Colonial Construction Fund grant application with possible award, grant writing and grant writing administration service for each application. However, each county is eligible to submit 2 grants.
We went back and last month, we appointed another committee member for the evaluation, and everyone should have had the tally sheet in their packet. On this one, we only had one submission of Esser and Company, so therefore Esser and Company would be the highest score.
Motion to approve.
The motion, I need a second.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion?
And if you don't, I can provide a bunch of seconds.
Well, you gotta hurry up and make motions, dude.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Item 22, discuss possible action on evaluation, ranking, and engineering proposals received for the 2017-2018 Texas CDBG Colonial Construction Fund grant application with possible award engineering services for each application. Alberta County is eligible to submit 2 grants.
And it looks like you didn't have these in your packet, so here, the score sheet on this, since we did have, multiple entries. We have TRC and, oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Okay. And, KSA.
And y'all recommended GRC?
We did.
Motion approved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Not all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Owens made the motion.
Commissioner Middleton.
Okay. All right, next, item 23, discuss possible action on recommendation from RFP Selection Committee to award contracts with selected firms and grant writing, grant administrative services, engineering services for,
I'm sorry, Judge, you have one person that submitted, right?
right.
He got his score of 98 instead of 100. I mean, was there a reason? I
didn't like him that much.
I don't like you 2 points. Motion to approve.
On the on line item 23 is mainly to accept the contracts and allow the judge to sign.
Okay.
And allow the judge to sign.
Okay. There's a
Second, accept.
second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Next, discuss possible action regarding capital outlay expenditures, office equipment, $1,600, IT office, and $1,525 for veterans office.
They have the money? Motion approved.
Motion, need a second? Second. All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
I gotta make a motion where it feels funny.
I guess told me I had to quit.
Item 25, discuss possible action on regarding solicitation for 2017-2018 defined term purchases for commodities such as fuel, road construction material, uniform, janitorial, pest control, filter, maintenance, and beverage services.
Motion to approve.
Motion is second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
And you wanted on the road materials to be able to actually go and pick up our own,
Well, the road
We're
pricing, the road materials, the base material, we can, I mean, it's already figured in. I think I wouldn't just pick it up, the asphalt. Because in case I need a little bit, the asphalt.
Okay. All right, next item 26, discuss possible action regarding the payment of executed purchase not complying with current purchase policy.
only had two.
I want it, both of them mine, I want it.
No, Cooper Equipment, precinct 4, and
Pro Auto, we went over, it's just, and stuff. Motion to approve.
Second, I got more than two.
Motion.
I got several on this list. County clerk, sheriff.
You had the preliminary one.
Oh,
Some of
okay, y'all got them
covered
fixed.
up.
All right.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion. Who's second?
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody. Thank you. Item 27, discuss possible action regarding the request proposal for expansion and construction of the community center.
I'd like to do away with that. We thought we may not reach a contract agreement with the bidder, but they did provide it, and I've given it over to council to review it, and.
You don't need any action?
No.
No action.
Okay. All right, next item 28, discuss possible action regarding the renewal of Valverde County District Clerk Kodak's scanner maintenance agreement.
The county clerk has received a renewal, basically notice on their microfilm scanner. I didn't know we still had some, but the county clerk also has one for old records. And we may consider, this is $3,600 for the renewal of the district.
She has it?
What is this coming out of? Doesn't come out of their special funds? Why not? This is records archive. This is for records archive, is it not? Oh, district clerk, sorry.
I believe.
She's
She's back in the.
like, don't.
She doesn't wear it. I guess the clerks are wearing.
It's for records archives, right? You don't have a records archive fund? Yeah, we can't take it out of there? Yeah, but we're broke now.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve and take it out of records archives.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Okay, and all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Mister. Let's go to item 30, discussion and possible action ratifying order 17-024 vacating Amistad North Shore Track 4.
Thank you, Judge. I was contacted by the county clerk in regards to the fact this came before the court in January. It was a cancellation of North Shore subdivision, and the hearings were held. It was the court voted to cancel the subdivision. I made the recommendation at that time that before the order, which was prepared by the attorney of the person that wanted to, the people who wanted to cancel the subdivision, it would be reviewed by the county attorney's office. I think Commissioner Nettleton also made a comment that reviewed it himself. I gave it to the county attorney's office, and I had thought that, hadn't heard another word. That's been 5 months. 6 months, and then I was contacted that this had not been finalized and that it now has been reviewed properly by the county attorney's office. And that in order for it to be recorded in the minutes, excuse me, that I had to put it on the agenda again for ratification.
Motion to ratify order number 17-024.
Okay, there's a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, all those opposed, nobody, 5-0. All right, let's put item 31, discuss possible action requesting ratification of memorandum of agreement between Valverde Sheriff's Office and Valverde Regional Medical Center.
What's this for, Sheriff?
This is for the disposal of biohazard waste that's generated by the sheriff's office or collected by the sheriff's office. We need a place to get it destroyed, and they have an incinerator there.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The judge need to sign or who needs to sign?
I just,
Okay. Yeah.
The authority to, the sheriff to sign.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, all those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Next, item 32, discuss possible action on newly acquired surplus property in Comstock, Texas.
There's the buildings.
these are the buildings.
I thought you'd already come across once.
I came before you, but they were just recently awarded.
You're acquiring, you're buying something, Sheriff?
Sir?
Or just accepting the building?
We're accepting.
No, you're not buying.
No done.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion, I need a second.
That will be you, Sheriff.
I'll second.
The,
You have to-
the front office, or the old Border Patrol building will be hopefully housing office space for deputies, Parks and Wildlife, DPS, the constables. If the commissioner wants a little space there, we can probably, both commissioners here, 3 and 4, so that's part of the area, we can probably use space there in that front office. That's the part of the, on the deed requirements there, we can only use it for certain things. It was law enforcement. About 6 to 8 months ago, I was confronted with the Schumer Archaeological Research and Education Center about use of one of the buildings. So we did some research with Department of Justice and stuff, and just last week, they said, okay, but it's up to the court. I would like to see move forward with that, with some type of MOU with the Schumer Archaeological Research and Education Center.
You're gonna bring that back?
No, we're gonna do it right
I'd
now.
like to do it right now, I guess, if we could. I've got an email here from Dana Hatfield, who was a project manager of this deal, where it says it's okay to move forward with that, as long as the county does not make any monetary money from that. It's on the,
How much office space are you willing to provide for them? Well, I mean,
No, there's in the back, it's a pretty good sized building.
no, I know, I mean, I know he's gonna use part of it, and there's gonna be part that's gonna be vacant.
yes, it's, Commissioner, it's 2 buildings, 2 separate buildings on that property. That, the second building, it's a whole building, I figured it's probably 3,500 square feet or better. That was used as a processing area, has 3 jail cells. It probably needs quite a bit of work, where we're just gonna basically use it for storage or just let it sit there. But it did go to some good use by this research, the Schumer Archaeological Research Center. It'll be either one, utilizing that building. It cannot be used as part of the deed, it cannot be used, or as part of the application, it cannot be used, as a detention facility. So, I think that it would behoove the county to have a good partnership with, that research, center, with the court's approval.
I'll make a motion to allow Schumer School to use the additional building.
Second.
There's a motion, a second.
You've already got a motion on the floor, right?
Yeah.
You want to amend it?
Oh, yeah, you already did it. Just amend your motion.
Just amend the
I'll
motion.
amend my motion.
Second accepts.
Second accepts.
Is there a
All right,
deed?
thank you.
Yes, I handed it out.
Is this it, PSA?
Yes, it's,
Okay?
Sheriff, when y'all start working on it, if there's a room in there big enough to accommodate, 15, 20 people, I don't know what it looks like, but it seems like, the fires are on that side of our county. It would be nice to have a room where, everybody, commissioner and judge, and everybody, whoever's there can actually have a meeting and y'all could actually get.
There is a room in that first building that would accommodate that. We're going to have plenty of office space in that first building that we can.
I'm just saying, because I know that and y'all were trying to do it there at the community center or whatever there at Comstock, but if you had a room set up, you could actually put up a map or set up a slide or something, it would really be nice.
Yeah, there'll be a conference room set up there also.
Yeah, and talk to the sheriff, there's also, we need a space, if there's an active shooter that comes out of school, we need to have some space there.
It's a good deal.
And that facility, we're going to have to separate the meter loops, so they're responsible for one side, but I'd like to get working with an MOU and have council review it before we move forward with that process.
So Schulman will only use that other building,
That back building.
and they're gonna take care of their utilities and everything?
Yes, sir.
Good.
The only thing that we're going to share is a generator in case of a power failure. It's a huge generator that they left behind.
You'll get the gas tanks too.
We've got a 4,000 gallon fuel cell there.
Is there any, do you want to comment, sir?
Who owns this building?
Robert County.
Already County?
Just got it. Just got it.
Okay, all right? Okay. All right, any more discussion?
And the deed's been filed with the...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion and a second with an amendment. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? Thank you. All right, next, item 33, discuss policy on Buy2 Technologies.
BI2 Technologies is it's a program or system. Back in April, the Southwestern Border Sheriff's Coalition voted in Austin to accept this technology for a 3-year period free of charge. What is going to be used in the intake process at our local jail on state inmates as part of the intake process. After 3 years, if funding is not secured by some level to keep it going, then it'll be up to the local sheriff's offices if they want to continue with this. BI2 is going to scan, the system scans the iris of the eye, and it's an inmate recognition identification
Fingerprint deal, except it's doing that.
Yes.
You just need a motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nobody, 4-0. All right, next, item 34, discuss possible action authorize Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez to apply for and accept the Bureau of Justice Assistance Bulletproof Vest Partnership Fiscal Year 2017 grant to include a resolution. This grant is, if approved, offers up to 50% reimbursement for the purchase of bullet-resistant body armor.
If we apply and they give you up to 50%, we have to fund the other 50%.
Yes, sir.
What if we don't have the funds? How does that work?
I think right now, with what we have enough to get that
Motion
done.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any more questions?
Didn't the governor just authorize a new, something the other day on bulletproof vests, on
Yes,
rifles or something like that?
Yes, sir, that's the rifle resistant body armor. It's a level 3 vest, and that will be coming to the court in August.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next, we need item 35, monthly treasurer's report.
That's you? Are you out? That's me.
I haven't been sleeping well. Sorry.
Really?
Okay, any questions?
Oh, that's not yours.
All right, any questions?
Saying, no questions, please, no
No
questions.
questions. Any questions?
Why is there still 5.9 million in interest and sinking? What is that?
We've not paid the 3 point something.
Oh, okay. That's the money from TxDOT in and out. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's actually, when we did our budget, though, we had
Yeah.
$890,000, our leftover money, and
Mhm.
that's not true. We're gonna have like 1.7 million instead of 890,000.
Right.
Okay.
That's other 800,000, whatever's in there.
Motion to approve.
Motion, need a second?
Second.
Second, any more discussion? If not, all those in favor, if by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 4-0. All right, next we have the, HR monthly report.
Motion to approve.
Motion, need a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion, questions? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 4-0. Thank you. All right, next we have item 37, the monthly auditors.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Okay.
Commissioner, I actually had a question about those amounts. These amounts are put in the police tax law, so mine do not.
Okay. I thought there was like further down.
Further down is a plug on the amount that would be generated in the police tax.
Yeah, but it's not the,
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty scary that you go like that, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, need a motion?
You haven't said nothing yet. Everything's all right?
All right, any questions on the expense? The budget report.
Motion to approve.
Motion, need a second? Second, any questions on the monthly report?
Are we gonna be doing any kind of budget amendment to go through to kind of get everything back in line before sometime soon?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 4-0. Thank you. Next is,
On the deal, real quick. It's on your report. We talked about that 337, the 337,000 prisoner pay.
It was adjusted.
Or was it?
We did.
All right, all right.
okay. All right,
Thanks.
our next, item 38, discuss possible action on approval of capital expenditures for the office furniture.
For my office.
What, any?
We're going to be replacing the desk. The desk will be cannibalized. We have 4 other offices. We're going to close the desk, and then we'll be replacing the office.
You don't have a special fund? Because I know you do. Because I see money in there all the time. Did you get a motion?
No, I need a
Motion to
motion.
approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? Not all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. And next, are we going to take the session? We'll now go into executive session pursuant to the Government Code 551.071, parentheses 1, parentheses A, and 551.071, parentheses 2.
Okay, now.
Oops. I don't think there's any subdivision plats. Anything here? Any approval of certificate of compliance? None? I need a motion to approve the monthly report.
Move.
So move. Need a second?
Second.
Second? Okay. All right. I think Commissioner Warlow seconded. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody. Item 44, approve bills for payment.
Move. You have more?
Yeah, we have 3, but the issue here is we would like to build that cycle as we continue to see when the reimbursement from the West Gate comes through. It should happen in the next few days.
we'll have to pay these out of cycle.
What's that?
What do you mean pay them out of cycle? We authorize you to pay all the bills.
You can pay it.
You can pay. Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
We appreciate you trying to take care of us. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, who made the motion?
I did.
Need a second?
Usually makes the motion.
I need a second.
I got a second. Hang on a second.
No, he ain't mad, cause you
Second.
gotta wait 20 minutes for him to make a motion.
All right. There's a motion second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nobody? Any comment from the elected officials? Go ahead. Judge.
I just want to say that having Deputy Estrada up on the second floor and being around our building and being very vigilant and committed to this has made a world of difference for us. We all have a sense of security with her there, and that lady never wastes a moment. She is working all the time. She's either watching out the windows, or she's talking to people as they're coming in, finding out where they're going, and other information that she may need to add. And then going around the building, she's downstairs, she's upstairs, she's all over the place. Feels great, and thank you very much for putting her there.
Judge, have we met her before? And not for you to bring her at our next meeting so we can meet her?
I would like to.
Okay. And it's good to hear positive comments once in a while. Okay. Thank you, Judge.
You're quite
Thank you.
welcome, thank you.
All right. I have no comments, so not, this meeting's adjourned.